It is 24 minutes before the hour. Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden joins us this morning. Chief, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Happy Father's Day to all of you, from all of us. And, you know, it's a special day for dads all across the nation, including Sylacauga, Alabama.
Yeah, it is. Big day. Big day.
I want to talk, of course, Chris, Sylacauga Police Chief, and was officially installed in that position a couple of weeks ago, and no stranger to law enforcement, no stranger to any of you probably watching, especially here in East Central Alabama. And you got some ideas that you've been able to begin implementing as Sylacauga Police Chief. Talk about those a little bit this morning.
Well, you know, we had a staff meeting yesterday, and I kind of outlined, you know, some of my top priorities, you know, and first one was going to be kind of to you know, begin a service-oriented, taking care of the people kind of project. And
you're kind of a people person, aren't you?
I am, and we've made a few changes already. You know, obviously we changed the way the patrol cars look, and that's been a big hit with the police officers and the community. We've gotten a lot of feedback on that. That's it's been a lot bigger than I thought it would.
It's got to be a morale boost just to the officers themselves.
It has been. They have just really embraced the new stripe package, and we just actually ordered the rest of the stripes for the rest of our Fords. So now all of our patrol cars will look exactly the same.
How many do we have on the streets in Sylacauga?
We have about 14 marked units, including a nuisance truck and a van to haul. Transport inmates to and from the county jail for court. So, plus, you know, several unmarked vehicles. So it's a big fleet. It's a very expensive operation. We have to be very careful. And you know, the thing I've been trying to push is just be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. And you know, every time I hear about one getting a ding in it, it just makes me nervous. So, I just want them to take care of it. So, but they're really excited about that. And we're going to be changing the badges on the uniform. That's the next big morale boost. And you know, it's just I don't know. Whenever you have a change in leadership, change of command, the focus of that leader changes and priorities change, and it's just a good time right now down there.
Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden, our guest this morning. Reports of a multiple shooting in Childersburg yesterday, and of course the shooting down off the campus of Auburn University in an apartment complex there last weekend. Weapons, they seem to be everywhere. Guns, they're just wreaking havoc on a lot of innocent people.
Yeah, and that's actually last week I was in some training at Jacksonville. It's police chief basic training, more or less. And Chief Tommy Mangum from Opelika was one of the instructors. And we were discussing weapons and campus shootings and active shooter type situations. And they're just becoming so frequent. And it's definitely something we're going to need to, you know, take a good, long, hard look at, the security of our bigger buildings, our campuses. Of course, we have active shooter training, and we have an SRO in the school. And, you know, we try to do everything we can do to prevent those situations from happening. But, unfortunately, you can't prevent all of them. But I'd like to see some of the patrol efforts focus on, you know, unlicensed carry, non-permitted carry, certain persons forbidden to carry firearms.
Is there a lot of that?
You'd be surprised, and a lot of it's unintentional. A lot of people think, well, I keep it in my glove box. It's not a big deal, and you know, the Second Amendment allows us the right to bear arms, but the state law requires that we have a permit to carry that weapon, and they're real easy to get. And, you know, I don't know what the cost is. It's $15, $20, and you go to the sheriff's department, fill out a form, and you get a permit, and that allows you to carry that weapon concealed. But there is a lot of it. People just, you know, they take a gun, put it in their glove box, or they just leave it in a bag and they go inside Walmart, or, you know, it happens pretty frequently.
Vacation season is here, and a lot of people traveling out of Sylacauga on vacations, and that gives opportunity for those who might want to take advantage of people being gone from their homes, and burglaries and that sort of thing, and we have those kind of things that happen right here in our hometown.
Well, residential burglary is one of those numbers that consistently remains steady, and I would caution everyone to do everything you can do to make sure that you know that we're aware that you're on vacation. We'll come check your house. We don't mind. You can call us and we'll fill out a form. We talked about that yesterday in staff meeting, how we could be held more accountable for when people call in and ask for extra patrol. Because I don't want it to be just, hey, will you give me some extra patrol, and then it stops there. I want us to actually make sure we're doing it and be held accountable for it. When you buy new things like TVs and DVD players, computers, laptops, it's always a good idea not to leave those boxes out on the street. Break them down, put them in your garbage can if you can. Burglary is a repeat crime. We have a lot of burglaries, and then a couple weeks later, people come back and they hit you again because they know you've replaced your TV and your DVD player and your laptop. So be vigilant, be cautious, look out for your neighbors, report suspicious activity, and we're there to help. If we need to come out and speak to a group, if you're interested in starting a neighborhood watch or getting more involved, all you got to do is call us.
Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden, our guest today, and this is Senior Adult Abuse Awareness Day. And I saw the numbers this morning, and they're staggering for abuse of senior adults, and we have a large senior adult populace in Sylacauga, and I know that senior adults are important to you.
They are. Unfortunately, we don't have very many reported incidents of that. But one of the benefits that we have being a small town police department is the luxury of having a really good, close relationship with DHR in Talladega, and having people that are from Sylacauga, that grew up here, that work there, and that know me, and we know each other, and that relationship has just always been a benefit. And DHR, they get a bad rap sometimes, and but they're woefully understaffed, and they have a big caseload. But this group in Talladega, I know in the paper last week, I know Holly Painter got the Caseworker of the Year, and Kerry Roberts and Neil Skitworth and John Elston, and there's just several of them up there that are just go-getters, investigators that work hard to solve cases, and they're the kind of people that work on those elder abuse cases.
As we continue our visit with Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden, how's it been? We talked early on about being named Interim Police Chief and the transition. It's not like you were a new kid on the block and your family's been involved in law enforcement. It's got to be an exciting time for you to live your dream, really.
It has been. It's been, I had some very special guests at the swearing in, and it just... The whole process has been, the interim police chief time frame was not very positive in my eyes. It was just very stressful, and I told Lewis when we were talking not long ago that
was that because of the unknown, or?
Well, it's just like it was the actual longest job interview I've ever had.
Wow.
If you do too much, you're not going to get the job. If you don't do enough, and I told the guys at the police department that my job as the interim was to keep the ship from sinking. Just kind of keep it, just
steady as she goes.
Yeah. But now I have to still do that, but make some forward progress. So, it's been so exciting. Got my new office set up and got everything where I want it, and got the swearing in finished, and Trish Carden and Lewis had a big hand in that, and it's just been great. It's just a very exciting time.
There's more to... Even in a town the size of Sylacauga, some 12, 50, or 13,000 people, there's more to being a police chief than might meet the natural eye, isn't there?
Well, the interesting thing is, and Lewis really told me a lot about this before he left, but, the police chief, it's like if you call and say, hey, I need you to come in, there's an expectation of the police chief in a small town, I'm going to come in. If I'm at Walmart with Amy and we're picking up a few groceries and somebody sees me and there's a parking ticket at the hospital, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it right then. And that's part of it. And that's okay. I understand that's part of it, and I have a lot of people that come to the office to see me about, sometimes it's not really about a complaint on a ticket or a wreck. Sometimes it's just about, can you help me with my son? I'm having this problem. And I think that's the neat part of the job, and I really think that being a police chief is a ministry, and that's really the way I'm trying to embrace it.
Chris Carden, our guest, Sylacauga Police Chief. there was conversation this week about the shooting in Auburn, and then the pursuit of the suspect and into Montgomery, and the search of the house overnight that yielded no suspect. But what I want to talk about this morning is something that caught my eye, and is about the time of the call to the time law enforcement agencies get to the scene. What is the goal in Sylacauga of, upon a call, officers getting to the scene of an incident?
You mean the response time?
Yes, yes.
Well, fortunately for us, on any given time, we have 4 officers in sectors plus a supervisor. And we may also have a lieutenant working, the division head. So, we could have upwards of 6 cars on the road at any given time in this city. And really, we can respond immediately to anywhere in the city very quickly. There's very few times when an emergency response is delayed at all. And people complain about the trains. Even the trains, our sectors are spread out across the city. We're going to be able to get someone there, not immediately, but almost immediately. I mean, our response times are very quick. We very seldom, I don't think I've ever gotten a complaint on a response time. We're fast.
How would you like the employees of the Sylacauga Police Department the impression you would have them to have of Chris Carden as police chief?
Well, I want them to understand how important it is to me that we treat people well, and that we act very professional, and that we do everything we can do to improve our standards and to raise our level of professionalism and treat people as good as they will allow us to treat them. And that we're a service-oriented organization, and that we do work for the community, and that we need to be very vigilant and reducing the fear of crime in the city. And I think that if they see me taking that seriously, I think they will too.
You have a history, or your family has a history in law enforcement. Talk about that a little bit this morning.
My grandfather was Hubert Babe Carden, and he worked for the Sylacauga Police Department in the 30s, early 40s. And when the shell plant opened during World War II, he, of course, went to work there like many other people in the town. My father came to work at the Sylacauga Police Department in the early 1980s, and he stayed for 20 years. He directed the Emergency 911 Operations Center and all the support service, the jail, all that. He was basically the jail administrator and all that stuff, and retired several years back, 4 or 5 years ago.
Budgeting for the Sylacauga Police Department, like any other department, is so important. What are some items that are equipment that you would like to see to equip your officers better in Sylacauga?
Well, one of my primary goals is to stay on target with our capital improvement program in reference to our patrol vehicles. I think that's important. I think that we need to continue buying police cars. Maybe not as many as we bought this year to kind of catch up, but we need to continue making sure that we buy some cars every year. My department armorer is Sergeant Matt Emlich, and he and I have had some discussions, and it's time to purchase some new weapons, sidearms for the patrol officers. It's just a newer generation of what we currently have, but it's an upgrade. We're beginning to have some problems, and it's time to make that capital outlay. And I'd like to see over the next several years us to make some improvements to our facility. So that's budgetary. That's kind of my priorities.
With violence in America seeming to be more and more in the news, of course, social media and all kinds of media getting on these stories so very, very quickly. When a story breaks of a shooting here or a shooting there where there are multiple injuries or multiple fatalities, does that automatically heighten the awareness of the Sylacauga Police Department, or is that something you know all along?
Well, I think that obviously it heightens our awareness when a situation like that happens here or in a neighboring community. Obviously we take a closer look. I can remember right after 9/11 several years ago, Alex City PD was riding through town in their SWAT truck. You know, I think that you can overreact and just create that same fear that I'm talking about eliminating. I think we need to be cautious. I think we need to be very aware and very alert. But I don't think we need to live our lives just walking around fearful that it can happen here. Because, you know, there's going to be situations here. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be bad things happen. Unfortunately, there's no way to prevent that. But when they do, I can assure you that we're going to address them in the most professional, best way possible.
Couple of happenings have taken place in just the last few weeks. We've added an animal control officer here in Sylacauga. I know you're glad of that.
I am very glad of that. Michelle Taylor comes to us from Montgomery, the city of Montgomery, the Montgomery Police Department. She worked there 9 years. She's specialized in all types of restraint and capture of animals, and she knows more about animal control than most people have ever thought about knowing. And she's very good at talking to the community and the public and in educating people, and she's going to be, already I can tell, she's going to be a huge asset, and we're lucky to have her.
Rondell Muse recently promoted, and I know whether it's Rondell Muse or someone else, promotions are something that make you proud with one of your people.
Well, you know, Michelle was the very first person I hired, and Rondell was the very first person I got to promote. And promotions send a message to the entire agency that, you know, it can happen. And for that individual, Rondell's a special case because I have not actually transferred him. I've given him additional duties for the time being because we have some more promotions on the horizon. My position is captain and a couple other positions. But Rondell, of course, is just a Sylacauga guy. Grew up here and went to the Navy and served his country in submarines, and he came back here and worked for the sheriff for a long time, then came to Sylacauga, and Rondell handles two of our most vital, you know, high liability areas, and that's our Sex Offender Registration Act compliance and our evidence room. And Rondell does an amazing job. He's an amazing guy. He's a good employee, and he deserves this promotion. I'm proud of him.
Talk about something that's really caught on is the Sylacauga Police Department Facebook page.
It sure has. That actually started off as just kind of, hey, let's give it a try. And, you know, I think we're up to 2,500 people now. And it's not just people that just kind of check it. We have a lot of interaction on our Facebook. And, you know, we don't, you know, that's one thing I told the people that helped me kind of oversee that is, you know, we got to have some thick skin. You know, when somebody puts something on there we don't like, we just can't delete it. You know, we're not going to allow people to put things on there that are, of course, obscene or, you know, harassing nature. But, you know, disagreements don't get deleted. And a lot of photos, a lot of historical pictures.
There's some guidelines that you guys go by.
Yeah, there are some. And we post, you know, we post information that's public information. We post arrests concerning drugs and any felonies. And it's really caught on. I mean, people really like it. And when we don't post, we'll get a message. Hey, what about, you know, such and such? So it has caught on. It's a neat deal.
Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden, I guess it's a little bit humorous, but I remember seeing one of the posts as someone posted, well, why are you mentioning names? You know, on the Facebook. Address that this morning.
Well, we've had a couple incidences, and obviously, you know, I replied personally to that, and it was basically that we mentioned when we started the Facebook, I kind of put something out to the public that's like, hey, what do you want to see on the Facebook? You know, you don't want to just hear about Neighborhood Watch all the time. What do you want? And that was the thing people wanted. We want names of people that get arrested, and we want their booking photos. Well, there are some agencies in our area that do both, names and booking photos. But to be honest with you, I don't know how familiar you are with Facebook, but keeping up with all those pictures is a nightmare. And it's, you know, you and I have had discussions before, and I'm very fearful of putting a picture of someone up that shouldn't be up. And I just don't want to do that.
I had someone this week to Facebook us at the station and want to go back to the days of Sylacauga's Most Wanted, and with pictures, and you really have to be on top of it because it can change. It's ever so fluid in what can be today or the next moment. Matter of fact,
you're exactly right. You can post a picture on the TV station while the guy's getting processed down at the police station, and then we're in Birmingham for 90 days, in litigation. I just don't want the public to feel that we're abusing that or that we're harassing or intimidating. We post what's public information, and if in the past, if we posted something and someone has sent us and said, hey, look, I've communicated with them personally, but we don't do that to cause embarrassment. We do that simply as public information, and we'll continue to do that.
Personal preference of coat and tie for you?
Personal preference as to whether or not
police attire or coat and tie, or is that just something you interchange?
Well, I wear a coat and tie pretty much most of the time. I try to wear my uniform a day or two a week. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a lot cooler, and number two, I think the police chief ought to wear a uniform from time to time. And I don't really have a standard way of doing it. Fridays, I kind of like to wear like a golf shirt, or
like me with jeans.
Yeah. We have casual Friday, but I usually just wear.
You like to play music too.
I do. And so Wednesday nights from 7:30 to 8:30, I'm at First Methodist for praise band practice, and then Sunday mornings I play the drums in the praise band. I think it's police chief playing the drums in the praise band. I think is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Finally, this morning, what message should people receive from, whether it's the Sylacauga Police Department or another law enforcement agency, of that uniform and that badge?
Well, the badge is a symbol of public trust, and our uniform is meant to send the message of our professionalism and hopefully our high level of integrity. It's designed to make us easily recognizable, obviously. It's designed to make the officers be able to carry all the tools of their trade and all the things they have to carry. But the professional standard of the uniform is we are a paramilitary organization. We are designed to look professional because officer presence in a lot of cases can calm a situation down just by that uniform and the demeanor of the officer and his level of professionalism.
Chief, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sylacauga Police Chief Chris Carden, our guest this morning. More on Daybreak just around the corner.